Chivalry is dead. Is it not fair for me to expect that my partner do gestures that make me feel good?
Why? I mean,
Because she deserves it.
what? What does she deserve? What has she done to deserve that? Just being born a woman?
There's a lot of anti-women rhetoric around how is it fair for women to expect all these things from us, and I want flowers too,
But you don't see men saying, oh, you have to do this for me. I think nowadays men are...
because women just do it anyway.
Nonsense.
That's the point. Chivalry is dead. Or is it? Depends on who you talk to. What once referred to a medieval knightly code of honor has now evolved into referencing all sorts of male behaviors towards women that we sort of do in the modern age. However, with the rise of feminism and women's empowerment, it begs the question, should this old code of honor be laid to rest once and for all? For the purposes of this discussion, I took the liberty of inviting a medieval knight himself from the court of Queen Elizabeth to comment on such matters from the horse's mouth. Welcome, Sir Jamshed.
Thank you.
I would love to engage in this discussion with the first card.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I was the damsel, actually. So should I go first? Thanks. Women should accept, but not expect, men to bring flowers, hold doors, pay the bill, etc.
I completely agree. In fact, those were my words. Accept it, but don't expect it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what I believe, there seems to be people who are actually demanding it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. Now, before we begin, what I would like to just redefine chivalry, as far as it's concerned, is a courteous or gesture towards another, from a man to a woman. But I think it should also be expanded, because I think chivalry is extended by many people to other people, which I think is a form of chivalry. So I wouldn't say it's dead. What I would say is that when people start expecting it, then it becomes distasteful. So what I feel is that if you start trying to measure his feelings by what I would say glib smoothness, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
But how else am I supposed to feel loved if not through his actions? Like,
by the very fact that he takes care of you, by the very fact that he is always there for you, by the very fact that he's got your back. I mean, even if he's not the sole provider, he does provide. And I think sometimes these gestures can be very practiced. Let's do an analogy of, in say, religion, for example. The difference between religion and faith
is the performance. Yeah.
And I don't believe that these rituals of love, so to speak, necessarily measure the amount of love that a person might have for you.
Yeah. I don't think the vast majority of women are really looking for these ostentatious performances of gallantry. I don't think they're really expecting their men to soil their clothes so that she can, across the puddle
so what I would like to do is differentiate between chivalry and these rituals, what the relationship rituals, so to speak. I mean, you could come across a complete stranger and be chivalrous by helping them out, and it doesn't necessarily mean from man to woman. It could also be from man to man, or from a woman to I remember once when I was getting onto the metro, this lady saw me and she charged into the train, blocked a seat, and when I walked in, she got up and offered her the seat.
And you would consider that chivalry?
I would consider that chivalry is a courteous gesture, not a romantic gesture.
I suppose that's true. I think my issue with what you said is that I feel loved in certain ways when my partner extends certain gestures towards me, right?
Okay.
And I may really feel special when my partner brings me flowers. Most people scoff at that and say, well, it's so unfair that women expect men to bring them flowers. But I would argue that it's not about the flowers. It's not about the lilies or the roses that you could go and pick out for me.
What do you do in return?
What do I do in return? I'm so glad you asked. I have never actually gotten a man flowers. I would concede that. But I have spent hours with men talking through their emotional, processing their emotional.
They don't do that in return.
Of course they do. What I'm saying is that there is.
So it's an equal give and take.
So is it not fair for me to expect that my partner do gestures that make me feel good? Like, is that not the bare minimum of having a healthy relationship? If that's too much to expect, then I might as well give up. I may not be doing the same exact gestures.
Okay.
But I think women carry equal, if not more, burden of maintaining that relationship, of going above and beyond.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think they're putting too many of these straps in front of a guy. I mean, first of all, okay, I'm completely for gender equality. What does gender equality mean to you? It means that everyone makes an equal effort.
Agreed. I think each party contributes equal effort, but it doesn't mean it's the exact same effort. So two partners in a partnership may choose to elect different roles so that together they can share the collective responsibility of maintaining a relationship.
Fine. Yes, you have different roles to play. You show your care for somebody in different ways.
What I've understood from your argument is that you don't feel that women contribute equally, or if not more.
I'm not saying they don't contribute equally. They do contribute. But what I feel is that what's with the extras?
But it's not extra, right?
Why
so
isn't
they
it
are
extra?
contributing things. It's just not the same things.
Women contribute care, love,
Sure.
affection.
Children.
Well, men have something to do with that as well.
Men can't make their own children.
That's a completely different thing altogether.
I don't think
mean,
so. I think that
women
contribute such an important part of family building.
That's a biological thing. That's not something that men can be blamed for not contributing towards. But as far as taking care of the home is concerned,
right,
men do that. If they don't, then they should. It would make more sense to me if women made demands about men taking care of stuff in the house.
That's fair.
I think that's absolutely fair. If a man is not helping out especially in taking care of the children, he's not playing his role.
Right. And in the same token, is it okay for a man to expect that a woman go out and earn money and provide and contribute?
Absolutely.
It is fair.
I think it's completely fair.
Men should expect that of women.
No, I don't think they should expect that. If a woman wanted to go and earn money and have a career, it should not be denied. I was born in a family that believed in all this. I mean, I hold the door open or get up when a lady walks in. These are things that I still follow. It depends on how a person is brought up. Now, and I don't think a person has been brought up badly if he doesn't practice it. It's just not.
It's just different.
It's just different.
So is it unfair for me to seek out a partner who has been brought up in a certain chivalrous or gentlemanly manner?
You seek out whoever you want.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about love languages here. Part of chivalry for you is engaging in acts of service, right? For example, if I'm a woman and I need help maybe assembling my IKEA furniture, you would classify that as chivalry.
I would consider that, but I don't think it should be assigned only on the male part of point. I think that's something that a woman should offer to do if she's in a position to help someone.
Sure.
Then
that's just common decency.
That's just common decency, common courtesy.
And I personally feel like the feminine energy is also one that is really meant to be cherished and revered and celebrated. And that's something that brings out my feminine energy. If I have to go into a state where now I'm also taking on traditionally masculine roles, I feel a little bit underappreciated and frankly tired.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that it is not a measure of love.
So I just fail to understand how to measure love in that case.
By the amount of attention he pays you.
What is that? How do you define that? If my partner neglects to do basic things that he knows are important to me, I don't feel love. What's the most romantic gesture you've ever done for a woman?
I used to pick up this lady to go to work, and I used to bring a small little portable tape recorder and play the music that she liked outside her window, just to let her know I was there. This was pre-mobile phone days.
Yes. Why don't you pick up the next card, please?
Chivalry in the modern age isn't dead, it's just evolved. True?
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
And why is it evolved? It's evolved out of a necessity.
I think it's evolved, but in the wrong direction. I think there is this rise of men who suddenly want to be princessed and pampered. This is my observation.
Look, as I said, I'm all for gender equality.
Right.
Okay? I would possibly say I agree with pampering, but I think it should be given equally.
I don't know. I think it's my opinion that women do a lot of pampering. They just don't make such a big deal about it. What I've observed, like even on the internet, the pendulum appears to have swung towards almost like a men's rights movement where there's a lot of anti-women rhetoric around how is it fair for women to expect all these things from us, and I want flowers too. Like, yes, that is being redefined. But as long as they're not using it to weaponize their own incompetence, when it comes to serving and cherishing and celebrating, like there is something really beautiful about femininity, and all of us can celebrate that.
You're saying there's nothing beautiful about men?
I'm not saying that men aren't beautiful.
Then?
I'm just saying that they feel loved in different ways than we do. Would you argue that there are a lot of men who feel unloved by their female counterparts or their partners?
I think there are a lot of men who feel unloved.
That they feel they do so much and they get nothing in return.
I think a lot of men feel that they get taken for granted. But then on the flip side of that coin, I think there are a lot of women who feel that they are taken for granted. What I'm trying to say is that it is not the prerogative of one gender. I think it's a responsibility of mine to make my partner feel loved. And I think it's a responsibility of my partner to make me feel loved. And how you go about it is a language that you work out.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you inconvenience yourself for like your partner? For example, driving out of your way to pick her up for a date rather than have her drive to the date and meet you there?
I would.
You would inconvenience yourself?
I would inconvenience myself.
So you're saying that I should not judge a man or dock points off a man just because he didn't go out of his way to arrange transportation for me when it was like when I was more than capable.
Aren't you a capable human being?
Absolutely, I am.
Right. So then you can't arrange for transport.
Absolutely, I can arrange for transport.
Then go ahead and do it.
Okay, well then we'll split the bill, and I'll dye you Rakhi next time. Okay, love you want to be friends? We can be friends.
Look, let me put it this way. If I felt that a lady's safety was in question, then yes. But otherwise, why? What has she done to deserve that? Just by having been born a woman?
I don't know. I think that's.
I mean, do you hear yourself? Do you actually hear how illogical that sounds?
Does it always have to make sense?
Yes.
Like, is that what this debate is about? Like logic?
Well, obviously there's something lacking.
I'm just a girl.
I know.
Okay, this is a good one. Modern digital technology has eradicated chivalry entirely. I can comment on this because digital technology has changed so much about the way that I've dated and that I interact with the opposite gender. It's like if in the past or traditionally men have been the ones to pursue, now it's become much more like the expectation is, hey, women can make the first move, right? And I think that's a really interesting direction. Certain platforms have even built a whole business model around women making the first move, right? And I think it's really interesting to observe how that's also shifted expectations between men and women. Now I think men are not so proactive and have become a bit more nonchalant. Like, if she wants me, she'll come get me. And I'm like...
I think a golden rule, if I might interrupt, golden rule should be texting and all these should be used for communication and not conversation.
Can you elaborate?
It's simple. If you want to talk to someone, go across or call them up if that's not possible, but talk to each other.
Interesting.
And I think if people actually talked to each other, they would have a closer relationship with that person.
It's so interesting that now in texting, there's like texting chivalry. Like that's also a thing now. Ki, arey, good morning text nahi bheja, kaise nahi bheja, you know? So it's just like fascinating. And personally, I feel it's all nonsense. So I suppose like you're right in the sense that you can get me flowers every day, shower me with diamonds, gifts, letters, And we can still have a flawed marriage if there's not a baseline respect,
Exactly.
a mutual contribution to.
I'm not saying that I'm against frivolous romantic gestures. I'm not saying I'm against that.
They're just not a measure of love.
It's just not a measure of love.
I tip my hat to you, sir. I suppose there is some middle ground that we have been able to find here. Like, if I had to choose between a lavish anniversary surprise party and a partner who's consistent, reliable, respectful, kind, every day and every small moment.
What would you rather have?
No, I'd rather cry in Italy, you know what I'm saying? Just kidding. I jest. I am the court jester here. But great place to close.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for watching another episode of On the Fence. If you enjoyed this contentious debate, please leave in the comments what you thought about either of our arguments and let us know who you think won this one. Share it with your friends. Did I tell you to subscribe? You should subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!